So we're going to go over the notes today. The notes are up online in Canvas. You can open them on Canvas. Like the other notes, the things you see on the PowerPoint might not be word for word what's on the paper. I would love to try and get through all of these notes in one class period. That is a lot, 2 full pages front and back, but let's see if we can do it. All right, so all right, so today we're doing our last review category, which is biology and ecology. Students will demonstrate an understanding of the structures and functions of living organisms and their interdependence on each other and their environment. So let's get into it. All right, so a blank is a plant that makes food from sunlight. That would be a producer. Producer. A blank is an animal that eats other organisms, plants, or animals. That would be a consumer. Very good. A blank is an animal that hunts and kills other animals for food. That'd be a predator. A blank is a species. A blank species is an animal that is hunted for food by predators. That's a prey species. P-R-E-Y, prey, like you see on the board. A blank is an organism that gains a benefit from a blank species, a parasite. Yeah, a parasite gains a benefit from a host species, which is harmed in the relationship. An example of a parasite is a tick on a dog. In the interest of getting through this all in one day, I'm not going to go back through that. This is all up on the board for you. You can look back through it. What, Daniel? From a host. All right. So a blank hyphen blank shows the flow of energy through a partial community. I guess let's go with food web. A food web shows the flow of energy through a partial community in an ecosystem. The arrows point from predator or prey species to a consumer or predator, showing the direction of energy flow. For example, a bald eagle is a blank of a blank blank, which is its prey species. So the bald eagle is a, should we say predator or a consumer? Either one would work. I'll put predator. A predator of a, well, he's eating, what are the two things that he's eating? I see him eating sea ducks and large piscivorous fish. So let's say sea ducks of a sea duck, which is its prey species. Bivalves, where are bivalves? Okay, I see them. Bivalves are blank of phytoplankton. So they are consumers. You could say predators, consumers of phytoplankton. Swans are blank of vegetation. They are consumers. It makes less sense to say predators there because we don't usually say that herbivores are doing predation on vegetation. Yes, Daniel? Yeah, so as humans, we're omnivores. So we're consumers, we're predators. But you know, since we eat vegetation, we're not like exclusively a carnivore. Yeah. Gulls are blank of small planktivorous fish. Where are the gulls? There they are. They're consumers or predators. I'll say consumers. All right. I'm going to keep going. All right. Biotic or blank factors. That would be living. Biotic means living things. Bio means life. If you take an antibiotic, you want to kill bacteria that's alive, that's in you, that you don't want to be alive in you. Living biotic factors include all organisms and their relationships, including predator-prey, producer-consumer, and parasite-host. Abiotic or non-living. Yeah, non-living factors include water, soil composition, rocks, air, light, temperature, and other weather and climate conditions. Organisms blank for biotic and abiotic factors, that would be compete. We spent time earlier this year discussing that type of competition. Let's next talk about environmental change. Okay, environmental change can both be blank, such as volcanic eruptions and hurricanes, and blank, such as habitat destruction. So that's probably natural and human-made. Environmental change can be both natural, so that's things like volcanic eruptions, hurricanes, meteor that killed the dinosaurs, disease, things like that, and human-made, such as deforestation, habitat destruction, overharvesting. Organisms must adapt or go extinct. Climate change is likely to make polar bears go extinct. Extinct is up on the board right over by polar bears. You might be able to see where my mouse is. Extinct. If they cannot find another way to hunt food. When a habitat is destroyed by humans, the organisms must blank to a new location, move or migrate. Hold on just 1 second. That would be move if they can. I'm even going to put like on there if they can, because some organisms can't move. Question? Climate change is likely to make polar bears go extinct. Yeah. All right, let's talk about how humans interact with the ocean. Humans are dependent on the Earth's ocean for blank, shipping, recreation, and as a primary source of rainfall in the blank. So I guess food is the most obvious one, right? We eat things from the ocean. And it's a primary source of rainfall. I don't know. Oh, perfect. Water cycle. A primary source of rainfall in the water cycle. That's great. Humans are destroying the food web in the ocean through overfishing, probably first. Pollution's a good one also. Overfishing is what we'll start with. And acidification by burning fossil fuels, which increases the carbon dioxide content of the air and oceans. Humans also pollute the ocean with, let's just say garbage. Garbage, trash, plastics in particular. And the over-fertilization of crops and runoff of animal waste, which together create, these are called algae blooms. Is that what it's called in there? Yeah, it says right there, algae blooms. ALGAE. And dead zones. Algae blooms happen because that fertilizer makes the plants in the ocean grow really strong, and then they put way too much oxygen out, and it upsets the balance of chemistry in the ocean and ends up killing off the fish. Humans help restore ocean ecosystems through the creation of artificial reefs. There's actually some debate in the scientific community about how beneficial artificial reefs are. It's like when you take like an old boat or something and you sink it, or like a big ship and you sink it, and the idea is that fish are going to like live on it, but it doesn't always work exactly like humans want it to. So the science is still in debate about the usefulness of artificial reefs. At least from what I can tell, it appears to still be in debate. Right. A blank is a single path of chemical energy from the sun to a producer to a series of consumers in an ecosystem. That'd be a food chain. So a food chain is a single path. For example, energy could flow from the sun to grass to a rabbit to a snake and finally to a hawk. A blank blank contains many interconnected food chains within an ecosystem. That'd be a food web. So food web shows the spider web of connections. Food chain is one specific path through the food web. An energy pyramid, number 7, an energy pyramid is a graphical model of energy flow through a community. Each level of the energy pyramid represents the different tropic levels, such as number 1, that'd be producers. 2 would be herbivores, things that eat plants, or first level consumers, call those primary consumers. 3 would be carnivores or second level consumers. And finally, 4, the top level or third level consumers. It's tertiary consumers. Okay, let's go on to number 8. So blank is the number of different species living in a defined area. Let's say biodiversity. The greater the biodiversity of an area, the healthier the ecosystem. Warmer and wetter climates typically have more biodiversity than colder and drier ones. So more is your blank, or greater. The benefits of high biodiversity include community. Sustainability is your word. It's right here on the screen on your first sort of indented bullet point, community sustainability. Resistance to damage from blank blank, that would be climate change or catastrophic events, so climate change. Control of pest species, increased resource production, enrichment of soil nutrients. It says right down here, soil nutrients, that second to last bullet point. And greater potential for medical discoveries. One of the reasons why scientists are so likely to find medicines in the rainforest is that there's just so many different organisms in the rainforest. So there's a lot more things to test out for their medicinal properties than a desert where there are far fewer things and far fewer variety of things. All right, ecological succession. Blank is a series of predictable changes in a community that occur over time. That is succession. Bold word at the top. 2 C's, a total of 3 S's, succession. Blank succession starts where no ecosystem existed, on solid rock after volcanic eruption or the retreat of a glacier. That'd be primary succession. It begins with blank species. Those are called pioneer species. Yeah, pioneer. That word is right here. Begins with pioneer species such as lichens and mosses. That word is not lichens, it's lichens. Are you thinking of the word frontier? I'm not sure of any other term. Yeah, yeah. Oh, so pioneer does mean like the pioneer days when people would travel across the frontier, associated with colonists and colonialism. But this here is what's going on similarly. Living organisms going to a new area. It's just things that are not humans. So these are things like mosses and lichens growing on rock after a volcano eruption. So the things that can live there first are the pioneers. Okay, so they break down the rock into soil. Once some soil exists, grasses, then shrubs, and finally trees can grow. Blank succession begins with a disturbance, such as clear-cut logging. So that'd be secondary succession. farming or a wildfire in an area with soil and an existing ecosystem. After the disturbance, regrowth starts with grasses and then moves to bigger plants and trees. With either type of succession, the end result is a climax community. So where there's an empty ecosystem and nothing living there, you have primary succession with these pioneer species, and they make way for other ones that can then live after them. And then secondary succession is like after we do deforestation, the ecosystem that comes back is a result of secondary succession. Yeah, Alishon. So a climax community is sort of a fully fleshed out and diverse ecosystem. So in secondary succession, for example, if you cut everything away and you're left with things like bugs and grass, right? Then a climax community is when the trees come back and the hawks come back and the bears come back. Yeah, good question. Ooh, dichotomous keys, how fun. A dichotomous key is a tool. Dichotomous. Dichotomous key is a tool that allows a user to determine the identity of an organism in the natural world. It consists of a series of choices that lead the user to correct identification of an organism. We did not practice that this year, but you have done it in 6th and 7th grade, and it's possible it'll be on the STAAR test. All right. The process of blank blank makes organisms better adapted to the environment and more likely to survive and reproduce, while poorly adapted organisms are more likely to die off before reproducing. Let's say natural selection. In this way, the next generation is better adapted because only the most adapted organisms live to pass on their genes. This is referred to as the survival of the fittest. The theory of natural selection was first observed and explained by Charles Darwin. Example of natural selection would be the long neck on a giraffe or the long neck on long neck dinosaurs. If you have to compete for food with others in your same species, if you're a little bit taller and so you can reach more food, you have more food available to you, you're less likely to starve, you're more likely to reproduce. In the natural world, if you're born with some sort of deformity or mutation that makes you less likely to survive, say, for example, you're a bird and you're born without wings, you're less likely to find food, you're more likely to starve, and you're less likely to reproduce, and so you're less likely to pass on that mutation to your offspring. That's the survival of the fittest. That's the natural selection. All right. Humans use the process of blank blank in animal and plant breeding to select desired traits. Oh, that would be artificial selection. Or selective breeding, I guess. You can put either one. Selective breeding or artificial selection. Yeah, I guess selective breeding, also called artificial selection. All domesticated plants, wheat, corn, and roses, and animals, cats, dogs, cows, and sheep, have been bred over many generations to achieve their desired traits. For example, all breeds of dogs, including Great Danes, Chihuahuas, and Poodles, were originally bred from wolves. All right. The blank system includes the heart, arteries, veins, capillaries, and blood. That would be the circulatory system. Its function is the transport of oxygen, food in the form of blood sugar, and essential raw materials to all other cells of the body, and to carry waste products such as carbon dioxide from the cells for disposal. The blank system includes the nose, mouth, trachea, lungs, and alveoli. Alveoli are the little pockets in the lung where the oxygen gets transferred from the outside air into our bloodstream. So that'd be the respiratory system. Its function is to provide oxygen and to remove carbon dioxide from the blood. The blank system includes bones, cartilage, and ligaments. That would be skeletal. Its functions are to support the body, allow for movement, and protect vital organs such as the brain and heart. The blank system includes the muscles and tendons. That'd be the muscular system. Its function is to provide for body movement and to move blood and food through the circulatory and digestive systems. So we have muscles in our intestines that help move food through our digestive system. What do you know? That's the next one. The digestive system. Digestive system includes the mouth, esophagus, stomach, small and large intestines. Its function is to convert food into nutrient particles and deliver those nutrients to the intestines. To the blood and the circulatory system. The excretory system. The excretory system includes the kidneys, bladder, ureters, and urethra. Its function is to filter waste from the blood, store liquid waste until eliminated, and empty waste from the body. Excretory. The blank system includes the ovaries and testes. That'd be the reproductive system. Its function is to produce reproductive cells and to support the development of new offspring until ready for delivery. This is reproductive, and before that was excretory. All right, next, the blank system includes the skin, hair, and nails. That'd be the integumentary or integumentary. Integumentary or integumentary. Its function is to protect the internal body from germs, damage, and water loss, and to help regulate body temperature. The nervous system, that's your next one. The nervous system includes the brain, spinal cord, and nerves. Its function is to transmit impulses between body parts, transmit sensory information to the brain, and to control the muscles and other body systems. Next up, the endocrine system. Endocrine system is a collection of glands, including the pituitary gland, thyroid gland, adrenal glands, pineal gland, parathyroid gland, and pancreas. Its function is the chemical messaging and regulation of the body, including growth and development. So this is where you get all your hormones from. They're especially important in things like growth. If your endocrine system is not functioning, you'll not grow correctly. Okay. Both plant and animal cells contain the following structures and organelles. The blank blank controls movement of material in and out of the cell. That would be the cell membrane. Yeah. The blank carries materials around the cell. That'd be the cytoplasm. That's the sort of jelly that's on the inside of a cell. Because cells aren't just hollow, they're filled with a sort of liquid jelly. The blank converts sugar into energy carrying molecules, or ATP, for cell use. That'd be the mitochondria. The blank controls cell activities and contains the genetic material for the organism. That'd be the nucleus. The blank stores food, water, waste, and other materials. That'd be a vacuole. For animal cells, there's many small vacuoles. In a plant cell, there's usually a single very large vacuole. That single very large vacuole in a plant cell can be filled up with water to help make the plant more rigid. That's called turgor pressure. If the plant doesn't have enough water, it will wilt because it doesn't have those liquid-filled vacuoles to help give it structure and shape. No, that was extra information. Only plant cells contain the following structures. The blank blank is a support structure for the plant. That'd be the cell wall. Good, you should know that. The blank converts sunlight into sugar using water and carbon dioxide as reactants. That'd be the chloroplast. That's what does the photosynthesis in a plant cell. Animal cells do not have chloroplasts. Plant cells are rigid and rectangular in shape. Animal cells are flexible and rounded in shape. The center of an animal cell contains the blank and the surrounding endoplasmic reticulum. So let's see, the center would be the nucleus. Yeah, so the center of the animal cell is the nucleus. And then this purple part you see around here, that's the endoplasmic reticulum. It helps move DNA and chemical messages from the nucleus out to the cytoplasm and the inner, I guess, the sort of middle parts of the cell. Yeah. That'd be chloroplast. That's what you see in green over here. The chloroplast is what converts sugar, sunlight into sugar. All right, the largest organelle in a plant cell is the blank blank. Largest organelle should be, I don't know why, cell membrane? Okay, let's go cell membrane. I don't think that's accurate though. Cell wall. Yeah, let's go cell wall. Cell wall sounds better. It is worth noting how incredibly big the vacuole is in the plant cell. If you're looking at a plant cell, it's what will be most noticeable though, is the vacuole, the large vacuole in the center, which pushes the nucleus off to one side. All right, let's deal with number 24. Number 24. Cell theory states that the blank is the basic unit of all life and living organisms. That's the cell. That all living organisms are made of cells and that all new cells are created from blank living cells. Existing living cells. So number 24, the cell theory states that the cell is the basic unit of life. And that next blank says that all new cells are created from existing living cells. All cells have the following functions: to control the reproduction and repair of cells using the genetic material in the nucleus, to control the flow of blank through the cell, that would be energy. Control the flow of energy through the cell. Distribute and store materials used to create the complex molecules from which cells are built. Assemble complex molecules called proteins to build new cell structures, and process, recycle, and dispose of waste. Right, next up, asexual versus sexual reproduction. Blank reproduction is the process by which a parent organism creates a new exact copy of itself called a clone. That would be asexual. That means without sex is what asexual means. So they clone themselves. They'll divide into two new cells that have the exact same DNA as the parent cell, which is different from sexual reproduction. where you have the DNA being mixed between two parents into unique DNA in the cells of the offspring. So asexual reproduction produces literal clones. That's a biological term, not a sci-fi term in this case. The disadvantage of asexual reproduction is that the entire population is at risk by disease, because if everything in that population has the exact same DNA, if it has a weakness to some disease, there's not any variation to help protect it. It'd be like if COVID had hit and we were all super susceptible to it, instead of just some people being especially susceptible to it. Blank reproduction is the process by which two parent organisms randomly combine their genetic material. That would be sexual reproduction. This creates a unique offspring, quiet please, that is slightly different genetically than either parent. The advantage of sexual reproduction is that it creates genetic diversity, resistant to catastrophic extinction caused by disease. This is what happened in the medieval times with the bubonic plague, called the Black Death. About 1/3 of Europe didn't have natural resistances to it and died out. But those people who did have natural variations that allowed them to survive the bubonic plague, they survived and passed on those traits to their offspring. You too, be quiet, please. Thank you. Let's do number 26. All right. All eukaryotic organisms, everything except bacteria, store all of their genetic material in the blank of each cell in their bodies. Oh, yeah, okay, right here. So that would be all, I think that would be eukaryotic. Oh, okay, in the nucleus. All eukaryotes carry it in the nucleus because eukaryotic cells have a nucleus. The genetic material is contained on long strands called, was going to be chromosomes. We have that word on here. Yeah, chromosomes. Chromosomes, not zones, chromosomes. Which are made of the chemical DNA. That chemical DNA stands for deoxynucleic. Oh, now I messed up. Well, sheesh, I gotta look it up now. I'm having a brain fart. Yeah, DNA, deoxyribonucleic. That's what I was missing. Deoxyribonucleic acid. So DNA, if you pay attention to what the word means, is a type of acid, which is unexpected, but that's what it stands for. Deoxyribonucleic acid. It's an amino acid. Yeah. Yeah. And the acid is what makes possible, it's a type of protein that makes possible everything we do as living organisms. But it's unexpected, so I wanted to tell you that. Not exactly. Each chromosome has sections called genes, which are the code to make up one protein molecule, usually associated with a trait such as eye or hair color. One chromosome can contain thousands of genes. All right, let's see what should go next. Number 27. All living organisms can either be classified as blank, which have no nucleus or organelles, that'd be prokaryotes, or you could say prokaryotic, but prokaryotes, which have no nucleus or organelles, or eukaryotes, that's that next word, or eukaryotic, E-U-K, eukaryotic, or eukaryotes, which have a nucleus and organelles. Prokaryotes have the word pro because they're more basic and simple. It's kind of like the word proto, meaning early, or like primeval or simple. And eukaryotic contains the word EU. EU means good. For example, if you're in band and you play the euphonium, EU means good, and phonos means sound. So a euphonium is a good sounding instrument. A eukaryote is a good cell. It's a cell like our cell. It's more complex and more advanced. It has a nucleus and separate types of organelles. Prokaryotes are things like bacteria. Okay, only bacteria, that is eubacteria and archaeobacteria, are prokaryotes. Plants, animals, fungi, and protists are all eukaryotes. Some organisms are unicellular. That's your next blank. Meaning single-celled, including all bacteria, most protists, and some fungi. All other organisms are multicellular, including all plants and animals, and most fungi and some protists. Animals that make their own food by photosynthesis or chemosynthesis are called autotrophic. Autotrophs make their own food. Organisms that eat other organisms for food are called heterotrophic. So those last two blanks, autotrophic and heterotrophic, correspond to the last two bullet points on the slide. Heterotrophs eat others. Trophos means to eat. Hetero means other. All right, all plants and some bacteria and protists are autotrophs. All animals and fungi and some bacteria and protists are heterotrophs. Oh, we're done. Good. So you can see examples of things here. All right, here's what I want you to do with your time. You need to either be working on tutorials, if you still need to finish up tutorials, finishing up the notes from last week, that's category 3 notes, if you need to finish those, or if nothing else, those quizzes, their codes are up on Canvas in the daily page for today. So do one you haven't done. In your last 10 minutes, make use of this time, please.